I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down? He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber! Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go!
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I...
Man, are you No, you won.
I am so excited.
Yes. What is up? MCR family, another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, or I should say semi-daily edition of the show as we are in quarantine. But it should be a fun show. A lot of boxing to talk about. We did actually have a boxing event yesterday, surprisingly, guys, right? Like air horns actually for that one. Let's do that quickly. We have boxing back, sort of, so to speak, down in Central America. So we're going to be discussing that. Terrence Crawford calling out a bunch of fighters, a la the quarantine COVID call-outs are in full effect. Pacquiao talks are apparently happening. A lot to get to on today's show, surprisingly. Teofimo Lopez refusing to fight Lomachenko without fans. A lot on this actually full panel show. Hold up. I need some gunshots for that one. Full panel. I'm excited. Let's get out to the UK. Mr. Robbie Hearns, second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, how are you, man?
Yeah, doing good. Been out for my government-allowed 1 hour walk, daily exercise. Not long got back, took the dog, Vicky and the boy. We went for a walk, bit of fresh air, nice sunset. I'm ready. I'm good. Little bit of Nicaraguan boxing. Still don't know quite how I felt about it.
Is that how you say it?
Nicaraguan.
Is that the correct
if you're
phraseology for the people of Nicaragua?
What are they then?
I don't know. I'm just.
I think it's Nicaraguan. Nicaraguan.
Like, do you need an S on it? Is like automatic?
Like a
I don't think it has to have an S, right?
I don't know. I'm just making sure.
It's
like if you say Texan people, well, I don't think it needs an S.
No, but you would collectively be Texans, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you spoke about it like that, but if you said like a little Texan boxing, you wouldn't say Texans boxing.
I didn't say Nicaraguans boxing either.
I know Matt was trying to get you to pluralize it when it was already like you were good.
Collective.
Food jumping in on this is hilarious. Anyways, Rob, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, no, I was just saying I wasn't quite sure how I felt about the people from Nicaragua having a boxing match. It was very strange. Guys with masks on, then they take them off. The referee didn't have one on. Then they're like full on sprayed with like, I don't know what, probably Dettol or whatever you guys are injecting at the moment. But yeah, I'm good. Go to one of the other guys because this is took a weird lane already.
People being sprayed with Windex before they walk into a boxing arena is fucking hilarious.
Even his baseball cap, right?
Let's go out to Dallas with our other two co-hosts, Gary and Dallas. Gary, how are you?
I'm good. I just took a Lysol bath, so I got the holy armor. I'm good.
You got the screening.
Yeah, I'm Iron Man at this point.
Did you get any light in your body?
What was that?
Did you get any light in your body?
Did you inject the Lysol?
No, I just bathed it. I figured that would go right in the pores that way, right? That's got to be just
I'm doing my bit right now.
You gotta put the light in you.
Is there a way to get it in you?
Yeah, well, I'm sat on the other lamp.
We may have to ask a doctor. You'll need a doctor for that, but
I'm sat on the other lamp right now, so we're good. COVID free.
The bad news: the Texas Rangers game was canceled again today, just like yesterday's game. I think tomorrow's game is going to be canceled too, but keep an eye on that.
That's hockey, right?
Hockey? No, it's baseball.
Who's the Rangers? Isn't there a Ranger?
There's a New York Rangers, which I don't even understand because, like, a New York Ranger, New York doesn't have Rangers. That name is ridiculous. Do they?
Hockey teams are weird. Period. Let's be honest. Like Detroit Red Devils, right? Isn't that a team? Like that's
Detroit,
just like why?
Like clearly, I understand the Penguins because like ice and shit.
Yeah, but do they even are Penguins in Pittsburgh? It's like the Toronto Raptors in basketball. Was that a hotbed for Raptors? Like, how is that your name? Like if you named a team the Wichita Falls Brontosauruses, like, why would you name it?
I don't know if you know this, but actually we were a hotbed for Brontosauruses.
Okay, well, that name would make sense.
Ironically, the hotbed became the Ice Age, which came from
we actually don't live far from the Ice Age here in Wichita Falls, so I mean,
it can't have been that much of a hotbed
socially, at least.
Otherwise, it would have been a flood, wouldn't it?
Anyways, Foo in Dallas. Foo, how are you?
I'm good. I did Lysol injections, you know. No bath. This went like straight for the injection.
Yeah, man.
You know,
straight into what, like the eye or something?
Hearing good things. It's you know, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's like you know, when something else hurts, like you take your mind off it by hurting something else. So although COVID cases might be high, currently you've got more people in hospital with like blood poisoning and like ingesting detergent. It's good.
Quickly,
I have Discord, Santi.
Hold on. To the one hockey fan we have in our chat, apparently I got the New Jersey and Detroit teams mixed up. My apologies. It's hockey. No one gives a shit.
Yeah, nobody cares about hockey.
The Red Wings has something to do with Motor City. I think it's something to do with
cars, like the Pistons.
Yeah, okay. I don't exactly know what the Red Wings are, but the Rangers, I think they moved there. They weren't the New York Rangers at first. I think they were switched to that, but I don't know.
Cleveland Browns. Yes, great team name.
That is you put
Brown because brown is a boring color, and Cleveland absolutely sucks.
That is true. The second half. Well, both parts of that are true, but they're
completely makes sense
because the owner's last name was Brown. That's why they're called the Browns. And then they
I like my explanation better.
Yeah, yours is better, too.
I like yours better too. I mean,
ironically, they have white orange helmets, right?
If you ever get the chance to go to Cleveland,
pass.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know what they say in Cleveland? At least we're not Detroit.
You know, if you ever get a chance to go listen to Joakim Noah bag on Cleveland in the press conference,
it is the funniest.
It's the funniest thing.
2 minutes of sports media ever. And then, like, after they're like, "Do you want to take back your comments about Cleveland?" And he goes, "That absolutely sucks." Nah.
Yeah.
Hold on. I know this is already like way off topic, but it's COVID shows, guys. You gotta get used to it. Yogi in the chat saying hockey better than baseball. No,
Yogi, I agree if it's like you're watching it on TV. I've never been to a hockey game though, but going to a baseball game is pretty fun because you get nachos, hot dogs. Texas has like the all-you-can-eat like tickets, so you just go and then you can just literally sit and eat all day. You don't even have to fucking watch the game. You just eat food. And that's great.
Like little side warning: please don't eat your ticket. I feel like you have to explain that to people in recent events. Like you just have to explain clearly.
So it's not funny, but it is kind of funny that the poison control or poison hotlines, whatever they call them, they've increased like their call volume by 30% since Trump said to like ingest Lysol to kill COVID.
And UV light. Don't forget the UV light part, which is the best.
Yeah, but you're just, I don't know, having physical injuries if you're trying to insert light, but injecting...
The way he was like, the light, and he motioned for his mouth like to eat light.
Yeah, like eat, get it in you. And I love the way he said, "Yeah, you're going to need a medical doctor for that." No. Oh, brilliant.
So good. Anyways, we had boxing that happened.
Shit.
It did happen, guys. In Nicaragua, in Central America, in the Alexis Arguello Center in Managua, I think is the city's name.
Would they be Menagualians?
Sure. Sure. That actually sounds probably right, Rob. You might be right. I don't know.
The Mandalorians. We'll go with that.
Yes. That's what they're called. It is the way.
Shout out to ESPN. No, Disney Plus. I mean, released now in the UK that I can finally.
Oh, so you caught up? Have you seen it all?
No, because what they did, they released it, and there was like 4 episodes, and now we're getting it weekly. It's like, fuck off. It's been on in America. Just let me binge watch it. Let me see it all.
That's stupid.
You guys are second place in boxing and second place in Disney Plus.
Yeah,
so that's fact, but our condolences to you, Rob. Robin Zamora defeated Romario Blanco on this card. It was a regional card. Like, let's be honest. It was on ESPN Deportes and it was on YouTube. So if you want to watch, it's on YouTube right now. The full 4.5 hour telecast. My real only thoughts about this, because the fights were largely irrelevant fights. Most of the card was 500 fighters. People with almost the same amount of wins and losses. It was a true regional club level show that they got away with, in a sense. A lot of people in the boxing community, I'll say, to keep it more general speaking, so I don't hurt anyone's feelings or get anyone upset, seem to really praise this card and the normalcy of it. And I asked Jake Donovan and Carlos Tora, two reporters, Jake Donovan obviously from Boxing Scene, if there was COVID testing for any of the fighters on this card. The response was basically no. That there was screening, meaning temperatures, checking the fighters' temperatures on fight day and the day before, and they checked the temperatures, and it looked like from the video they were spraying with people with disinfectant of some sort on their hands and people walking through disinfectant of some sort, but that's it as they entered the arena. So we had, I don't know what the full count was, how many people were in attendance there working there, but let's say at least 100 plus people there. Nobody was tested for coronavirus. Social distancing wasn't really implemented. They tried to do a fancy thing with the seats and everything, but if you saw the line just getting into the arena, the line had no social distancing at all. And half the people didn't wear masks. So it was just, to me, it's a very risky event and not a thing that we should be praising, even though I know a lot of people in this community want a semblance of normalcy. But safety, in my opinion, overrides normalcy, whatever that means to you. Guys, I don't know where you want to jump in with this topic. It was just the first boxing card back. It was on ESPN Deportes, for God's sake. We got to talk about this. So, guys, thoughts about this ESPN card?
I saw it and I was like, boxing's back. And then I saw they're going to, that's good, separate the crowd. I didn't think there was going to be air quotes, a crowd. And then, they're actually allowing spectators. Then I thought, do you know what? Maybe people are in a bit of an uproar, but what is the actual current situation regarding coronavirus in Nicaragua? And yesterday they had a grand total. Where's it gone? They had 12 cases and three deaths. That's it. So 12 cases, 3 deaths. Boxing match card goes ahead. Today they've got another case. So I don't know if they attended the boxing, but I don't know. Before that, I don't think there had been a case the day before or the day before that, or pretty much seemed like they might have got a bit of a grip on it. The other people in the cases, they recovered. So the 3 deaths, the others had recovered. Now they've had a boxing card and there's a new case today. So I don't know if it's the wisest thing. I know some people I noticed on Twitter like yesterday were like, "Oh yes, boxing's back," but I don't quite know how I feel about it because it's like people with masks get climbing into the ring, and someone said at least they're wearing gloves, right? But the referee didn't have a mask on. The ring announcer did have a mask on. Then they like sprayed a fighter in the ring. I don't know what they sprayed him with, but you don't want that on the gloves, surely, if you're going to then punch someone in the face with it. I don't know what was on that glove, but all very weird.
You mean you don't want to disinfect it in your eye? Something like that? No?
No. Obviously, in a needle into your intravenous system, fine, but not like in your eye. That's gonna be like
with the doctor's help, of course. Yeah.
You don't want Ali in the corner saying, "Cut off the gloves, cut off the gloves." He's put something in my eyes. He probably would have said it a little bit better than I just said it, with a little bit more swag and everything. But yeah, I don't know. Good to have boxing back to a degree, but let's make sure it's safe and going to be done properly.
Quickly, Rob, before we jump to anyone else, as everyone else is talking, can you look at how much testing has been done in Nicaragua?
Yeah.
Like how many total tests have been conducted in the country? That would be curious to see. Gary,
I tried my dangest to get ESPN Deportes. I spent an hour almost on the phone with DirecTV telling them I paid $300. Just give me it for 15 days. Like, I just want to watch this fight, right?
wait, hold on. Rob says there's 0 tests.
0 tests.
So then how do they have 3 outbreaks of it?
No, are you talking about for the fights, or are you talking about for the country as a whole?
There's no data. There's in that, so they're not.
Yeah.
They either haven't.
They might be just attributing flu and pneumonia-like symptoms to coronavirus automatically. That could be what's happening in Nicaragua, even without the test. So that's why we see a number that's very low, potentially, but there's no testing data. That's my only thought. But back to Gary, your thoughts.
Yeah, I tried to watch this, and so I spent an hour on the phone with DirecTV, and they're like, "No, you can't get it in America." So it's like, why didn't you just tell me this to start with? So did I miss the fight? I couldn't watch any of the fight. I didn't miss it. I couldn't watch it. It wasn't available in America. And it was just, what was that?
Quick, I just want to make sure everyone knows in the chat and that's listening. I sent a link for the live stream on YouTube.
Did you?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It's in the topics post. I guarantee it. That's our topics chat. But anyways, digressing, Gary. Yeah, you could have watched the entire. You can go back and watch it.
I'm gonna go back and watch it now. I could have saved myself an hour of frustration. You know what it's like dealing with DirecTV? Like, they transfer you 17 times and they try to upgrade you. Like, I don't want to upgrade. I already pay $300 a month. I'm not paying $301. Give me the channel for free. But I digress. I thought they were going to be no fans there, so I was shocked when it was like regularly attended. Because Mexico's doing a card in May, I believe, with no fans.
Carlos Molina's putting on a card in May.
So, like, I thought it was going to be like, I was shocked that there were fans. And when you said they sprayed something on his gloves, I think it does matter. But what if it was peroxide? Peroxide's a disinfectant. You know what I'm saying? If you get peroxide in your eye, you're fine. I think it matters what was on the glove. I mean, again, I don't know what was on the glove, so maybe it was Pine Sol. I don't know, but I think
it was just jokes, really. I'm not saying.
Was it what was in Aaron Pryor's bottle? Was it in the black bottle?
It was, yeah.
I don't think they would do anything. Like, again, you can't spray something on someone's glove and then get punched in the eye with it, right? Like, that would be insane. So I would guess, unless that guy's blind and has burns all over his face, that it was probably peroxide on the glove.
Sure.
Is that safe to assume? I mean, what do you put in?
Gary, I don't care.
Or just water.
It might have been
Just
water.
like, hey, we're disinfecting.
Disinfecting with water.
Yeah.
Look how responsible we're being.
Let's look like we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think the whole issue here is that you can manipulate numbers of cases, deaths, things like that. You don't test people. Like, that's just the way you do it. Like here in Texas, we test less than any other state in the area. and we still have a ton of cases. So if we tested more, we would be one of the worst probably in the US, but we don't test a lot of people. And then in the US, we're only testing like 11,000 per million people or something. So, they're trying to drive the number down to reopen businesses. And I get it. Like, people want to open, people want boxing back, but at the same time, you can read article after article of the countries that were hit first with this that reopened too quick and then had to shut down immediately again. So, like, it was probably stupid to put the card on. Definitely not smart to have like a crowd. And there's a reason they did it with all like 50-50 boxers, right? There's a reason that there were no like big names, because those big names aren't going to put up with the bullshit those guys probably had to go through. And
the biggest name in that country's boxing history was there watching. So
he wasn't fighting. He wasn't fighting.
Oh no, but he was ringside. One good shot, blood and sweat land on people.
Yeah, but the sweat won't give you coronavirus. Blood maybe, but you would have to get in your body. You had a mask on.
So
it'd be different fighting because you can have a mask on. You're not social distancing. You're actually next to people. You're training in theory. You're cutting weight, so that automatically puts you at risk to get sick and to get even worse though than others. Like that is, I think, why the big fighters, and we're gonna get to it later with like Teofimo, like why those guys aren't fighting is because the risk it would take to fight is far more than just being in attendance right now. If you're in this sort of show, that is just a fact. And on top of that, I think to sort of circle back to my point about some people within the boxing community, and I'll even pinpoint more media, sort of saying that like other promoters should look at this and copy it. I think that's just the wrong mentality to have. I don't understand that. I get like we all want content, we all want events to cover, and we all want our job to continue in some aspect, but I mean, come on, man. Like let's not. I saw some really prominent reporters saying like, "Oh, we're back to normalcy. Like this is awesome. We should be praising this." And it's like, why? Why are we so quick to praise this? Especially as media, and some of you guys are journalists. Like you guys should be the first ones to question why this event is happening and if it's happening on the up and up. Because as far as I know, it wasn't. The second you say there's not coronavirus testing, it's automatically not safe. Instantly in this time. So we, like I said, we're gonna get to it later, but like Aaron was talking about putting on shows like this. We're like, it's semi-attendance. It's not a full attendance event, but they stagger out seats. They're gonna look at this. We have on paper 4 UFC events on scheduled, 3 of them in Jacksonville, Florida, because Florida opened up. So like we're gonna see stuff like this a lot more. And if they can get away with not testing because the media is so lenient on promoters, that's just a shame. Because people are really.
And then steps above that, we don't have any performance enhancing drug testing. Like they've already come out and basically said that they've limited what they're doing with performance enhancing drug testing during this time. So now you're putting fighters in an environment where, like you said, they're cutting weight, their immune systems will be compromised, they're more at risk. They're also not being tested for performance enhancing drugs. So there are going to be people who take advantage of that, and the fighters are more at risk at that point too. So, I mean, it's not real smart. And the people that are hyping it up, I get it. But, to come back to like the point of like no crowds, like a lot of sports are already saying they can't open without crowds. So like we're not going to get sports back because ticket sales drive so much of the revenue for paying the fighters, drive so much of the revenue for the site and all that, right? So, and then when you get into other sports like the food, the concession food is such a big driver of the money and things like that. So if you don't have a crowd, you can't necessarily have the sport. And so we're probably going to be boxing less. It's at least like high-end boxing. Like the top names are not really going to, like, you said at the top of the thing that we'll talk about later. But I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Shouldn't be rushing.
Any other thoughts, guys, on this topic?
I'm still sticking that you sent the link, and I sent an hour to no avail arguing with DirecTV.
All you had to have done was text us midway through saying, I'm fucking around with DirecTV trying to get ESPN Deportes. How are you guys watching this card? And I'm like, dude, links in the topic chat.
He would have said it.
It would have been very easy, Gary. Communication, man.
Communication is key.
Matt would have said it more angrily, though, than he portrayed right there.
Yes.
He'd have put, like, oh, I put it in the fucking chat, Gary. Jesus.
I don't. You can be snarky with me. I don't care. Like, I'm not sensitive about it. You can curse at me. Like, it's okay.
Try reading.
Try reading.
I probably definitely have already said that to Gary at some point. Let's be honest.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard, bro.
Rob knows me so well. It's so cute. Let's move on.
Real
former HBO.
Sorry, I was going to say.
Speaking of knowing
between banter and being
a cunt. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Vice versa. I will do that. Absolutely. HBO former HBO boss Mark Taffet is out there saying that Fury Wilder 3 can do 1.5 million pay-per-view buys, or do up to 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. I know Rob is like really scoffing at this idea, but I will maybe do a side topic to this. Okay, Fury Wilder 3, does it hit 1 million pay-per-view buys? True or false? Or yes or no? That was a question, it wasn't a statement.
Rob, I let you go.
No.
No, you think it hits 1 million? Okay, interesting. Gary?
No.
Wow. Okay, interesting. Foo, I mean, I'm assuming no as well.
I'm normally the hater, right? I think easily. Easily. Look, here's the thing. They're going to use the WWE shit, right? To hype Fury to like a lot of casual fans or to people that are not interested in boxing, but that buy every wrestling event or watch every wrestling event. And then if they can somehow tie Wilder into that, which I think I've seen some rumors that they're like trying to talk something with Wilder on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll hype it. And then depending on, how they market it, they don't have other sports to really market through. That's the kind of the sad thing. Like when normally they would have like maybe, other sports to advertise when people are watching, but people are going to be so hungry for good fights and things to watch once that comes back. It's either going to be the most stolen fight of all time through like streaming, illegal streams, or it's going to do 1 million pay-per-views.
With 22,
who knows?
22 million people seeking unemployment, and I think you hit the nail on the head. For you. Most people are going to stream this because they're going to ask you for $75. People ain't going to go, oh yeah, I'm broke, but I really miss boxing. Let me go and buy this pay-per-view for a fight we know the outcome to, and it was going to be quicker than the times before.
Rob, you're absolutely right. This fight was happening on the old timetable. Like this fight happened in July or September, right? Where like it was originally thought of.
It still wouldn't have been.
No. Listen to me. Let me finish. You're right, because people are out of work. The entire country is shut down to a degree. You're absolutely right. But follow me here. There is no way this fight happens anytime close to when this world is not normal and they can't get the most money out of this fight. So in my mind, we don't get Fury Wilder 3 again. It's going to be put on the back burner like Inoue Casamora, which we're going to talk about later if we get to it. This fight will not be made. I think both guys are going to have a couple tune-ups before we see a trilogy again. I know you're scoffing at this, but I think all these big fighters are going to do that because we're going to have this sort of weird process to get back to normalcy again. And we may even have a second, wave of coronavirus in the fall. So, like, this could be a point where we don't see this fight for another 2 years. And in that paradigm, when in 2 years from now or a year and a half from now, when things are truly back to normal, more people are back to work, that's less of a concern. You are absolutely right, though. If this fight was happening during this current climate, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, you're absolutely right that it would probably do less than the second fight. It would still do decent. I think you're maybe selling it short. It would still do over 500,000 buys, in my opinion. Maybe we wouldn't do 800,000 again, but still do over 500,000. It will still break 1 million if this is a year and a half, 2 years from now, and we're post-vaccine era. Absolutely.
Yeah, once the debt all kicks in and everyone's good. But I don't see it hitting 1 million full stop. I don't care whether they add more WWE to it. They had a Super Bowl ad for the last one and just gazillions of dollars spent on marketing it, and it didn't hit 1 million then. I just don't see. And it was let me have my point. I was just thinking my point.
But Rob, you are being disingenuous, and you have said in the past, Rob, we were both on shows together previewing this fight, the second one, that the idea of it getting double the amount of pay-per-view buys is just ridiculous. The idea of it doing breaking that first pay-per-view buy rate and doing over 500,000 was just not historically accurate. It just did not make sense.
And the show before the fight happened, I said I reckon it would do about 750, 800. After seeing
because your opinion changed as we got closer to the fight and the hype became so high. That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
but before that, we were all saying it's not possible. It's not possible. And then it was possible. It did do over twice the original pay-per-view buy rate. I don't think the idea they can't do another 200,000 pay-per-view buys to 1 million, I think it's putting this fight in a box it doesn't belong in. This is probably one of the top biggest fights you can make in boxing right now.
All right. I just don't agree with you. That's all right.
Rob?
I think
but I want you to argue your point. If you don't agree with me, then argue it.
No, I'm just saying I don't see how much bigger the third fight is. There was a whole lot of talk after the fight. There's who wants to see this again? We've seen him dominated boxing wise. Yeah, there was a knockdown, but then he's been completely dominated in the second fight. There was a whole bunch of talk that people do we need to see a third one? I don't know.
I think you're right. Sorry, you paused there. I apologize.
No, I just think more along the lines of what Fu said. Just people are just going to stream the hell out of things like this. I just struggle to see what's going to hit 1 million in the US anymore at $75 a pop.
I mean, we almost did with Fury Wilder 3, and the first fight did 325,000 pay-per-view buys. That's a monstrous increase. And again, I think you're right that a lot of the boxing fans, hardcores, are scoffing at the idea of the trilogy because we all think Fury is going to be dominant, but casuals don't think that.
Right. You're going to get a baseline of Wilder fans. You have an ever-growing Fury. And I think if you were to set an over-under, I think 1 million's about right. And I'm going to go under, right? Because I said, no, we're not going to have another 1 million pay-per-view or another 1 million buy pay-per-views in boxing. I said that, right? So I have to stick to that. We're not going to hit 1 million again. So look, I think it's going to come close to the same number. It might come in a little higher, but I'm going to say it's between 800,000 and 1 million, right? The first fight was great. The second fight, though, the outcome was shocking. The fight itself, I think people know what they got, right? There was no controversy. It wasn't a great fight. It was a dominating performance by Fury. I don't know that you're going to bring all those fans back. You will bring in new fans, but I don't know that you're going to bring all the fans back. As in the second fight, you got everyone back in the first fight. That was such a great fight that everyone was willing to spend their $70 again. I don't know if you're going to do that again, right? With the casual fan. I don't think 1 million's outrageous. I think that's probably about right. I think this is going to be your typical Mayweather fight against a decent opponent. It'll come in at 1 million. So I'm saying it comes in at 950. It comes in just under 1 million because I said we're not going to hit 1 million again. But I think 1 million is pretty close. I think you're going to lose some and you're going to gain some as Fury becomes a bigger star.
Phil, I don't think you've spoken on this.
I mean, I just think it depends. if it's 2 years from now, I don't think so. If it's at the end of the year when we've been kind of boxing starved and a bunch of people haven't spent a bunch of money on boxing, and maybe we are coming out of like a lot of unemployment, and I understand that, but realistically, like if unemployment stays that high, the government will have to enact different policies to help people, because you can't just have everyone go homeless. It's just they'll be worried more about like the economy, and they know they'll have to give money to people who are struggling to go buy stuff. So if it's like October of this year and it's one of the first big fights out of the gate and one of the first real scenarios where people are there and all the stars come out and they're hyping it up as like the next, like the first big sport event that you could buy and have fun with people at your house or whatever, I think easily it does $1 million. If it's 2 years from now, it would depend. It's going to depend on who they fight, how big their names become, if they take a loss in between, what tune-ups there are there for them. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs if it takes that long, but I think if they do it in October, yeah, I think people will be really ready to buy and watch some good fights, because everyone's bored as fuck right now.
That's a really good point, right? Like, we haven't spent the same money on boxing. A lot of people even dropped their $10 on DAZN and things like that. So they haven't spent a lot of money on sports, and we haven't gotten boxing. I was thinking this fight's going to be in January, February. I wasn't thinking this year. That was kind of what I had in my mindset. But like, that's a pretty good point. Like, we're not spending, people are starved for sports right now. Maybe that might help it. I think it really does depend. Because when it opens up again, like, it's not back to normal. Like, a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants that would show this fight are not going to be open, right? Like, they're still going to be closed. I don't know. Like, and then like the fourth quarter of any year is kind of like a crapshoot, and then the fourth quarter of an election year is really like a crapshoot with the economy. I don't know. I think like they're going to put it off till next year, and we'll see from there.
There's no way this fight happens this year.
Okay, you agreeing with that? It's probably January, February next year.
I mean, if that,
maybe later.
Yeah, I mean, if the data is correct on this, on what the fall is going to look like for coronavirus, I don't think we're going to see things back to normal again, and we're going to see the fall season look like we think it's going to look.
Yeah, we're 12 to 13 months from a immunization or shot. So.
And anyway, February would be Dillian White's mandatory shot at the WBC title anyway.
I wonder what happens if we get like a true like year of like no big fights happening with mandatories and stuff like that. Like, do they, what I mean? Like, do they start reorganizing mandatories and rankings and stuff like that with no one fighting? Like, it's just, it'd be interesting to see what happens when we hit that. Because we have a regional card in Nicaragua, but I don't think we're going to see like Tyson Fury fighting on a big card soon.
Well, I don't either. And sorry, Robbie.
No, I was going to say at the moment, if Tyson Fury can't be in America, can he? He can't.
Yeah, he can't.
Can't even get there. So,
well, here's the other part about that, right? Is you're looking at it from a point of view. If you're, say, like a promoter or like a site that's putting, you're building up. The unknown is, even if, say, it was October, are we going to be able to have like a live event there? How much money is going to be pumped into that coming back from such a long delay? There's so many unknowns that putting on a huge fight, or maybe even a Fury tune-up when he needs so much money to get into the ring, those are going to be hard things to schedule until you're 100% guaranteed that you're going to be able to have it basically the way you'd want. And then the fighters are going to put up probably some resistance because they haven't been able to train or fight.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, Bob said there's no way this fight happens behind closed doors after making nearly 17 million on the gate. There's no way there. He said, unless the fighters said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. We're not worried about losing out on the gate.
Yeah, I work for a con.
There's more chance of Gary believing man landed on the moon than that happening. So,
well, I mean, I don't sure. He didn't say this, but I would assume this. If the network came in and said we're going to add a lump sum to this fight so we can at least feature some live sports because we know there's no attendance. Like you could see that happening. You know, you could see ESPN and Fox pull a $17 million, combined fee or something like that for them. I mean, that's possible. And
you may offset the gate losses by pay-per-view money. So like, say you put some extra money there, people can't go to the fight. They might buy the fight, I
don't think that happens, obviously, because I'm still on record of we'd see no meaningful fights this year. But I mean, if ESPN wanted to, they could do that. I just don't think ESPN really wants to right now. I think ESPN's scared of this thing, like just all of us are to a degree. Speaking of ESPN, though, one of their biggest fighters, other than Tyson Fury, is Terrence Crawford. And he is now mentioned, or at least in some fashion mentioned, with now 3 fighters. Kell Brook, who's saying that their side, speaking of Crawford ESPN side, seems to want the fight. Manny Pacquiao, who Bob Arum is out there saying that they are having tentative talks with. I know, Rob, you love these coronavirus call-outs. You love them. And Sean Porter, who said the fight may or may not happen. If it happened, blah, 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 he doesn't duck anyone. So Sean Porter's talking about Terrence Crawford again in some aspect and said he's going to have a meeting with him or something. So we now have Terrence Crawford with Brook, Pacquiao, Porter. Do any of those fights happen in the next, let's say, 24 months?
Brook.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, one of them will happen. I can't tell you.
Are we sure?
I mean, yeah, one of them will happen.
You're getting Crawford Brook on pay-per-view. You know it.
Oh, I do know it. I don't want to know it. I don't. So bad.
And that doesn't do $1 million either.
No, it doesn't do 200,000.
Oh, well, really, Rob? You're like fucking Holmes over here.
Yeah, man. Well, when I'm right about the Wilder Fury,
now
just bank
it was funny. 3 days ago, I think it was Steve Kim and somebody else. I forget who the other ESPN guy was. They did like a co-authored article talking about like who Terrence Crawford needs to face, and then in the pursuing 3 days after that, we had all these call-outs, all the mentions of Pacquiao, Brook, and Porter.
Was this before he was traded to PBC?
It was after.
Oh,
it was after. Oh my God, Rob, don't just get me started on that. Canelo for Gervonta Davis Lewis and the Cruz just blows my mind. But digressing, I clearly think that you have Bob Arum, ESPN trying to get some feelers out there in some aspect, whether from fan reaction or who their ever potential dance partner is with reaction, with all these either call outs, putting stuff out there to the media, Kell Brook, discussing it with him and him putting out to the media. Clearly he's wanting the fight. Like clearly there's a lot of angling here through the media trying to get some big fights happening for Terrence Crawford or vice versa, big fight with Terrence Crawford. Is anyone finding odd that we have Pacquiao now back in the mix? Like I feel like everyone's like not even mentioning that. Like Fu, Gary, Rob, like Pacquiao's now being talked about with Terrence Crawford again. Is it just Bob Arum being 88 years old?
Can I address this? Because this is interesting to me. I have a theory now because Thurman talked about fighting him and Spence did. I think they saw something in Crawford. Can we agree Crawford's last performance was not good?
Of course.
Good, yeah. They saw something in Crawford like, I can beat this guy. Like, I can beat him. They saw, I don't know what it is, but well, he didn't look great. But like Pacquiao sees something, I can beat him. Thurman and Spence saw something in that performance says, I can beat him. I want to fight him. Make that fight now. Like I really think that last performance was so underwhelming that it might help Crawford get the fight because people see a weakness in him now. He got hurt badly on multiple occasions by the Mean Machine. Like Pacquiao's like, I can beat him. I can stop him. If the Green Machine can stagger him and stop him in his tracks like that, I can beat him.
Do you mean the Mean Machine or the Green Machine?
Either one.
The Mean Machine, Rob. How about this?
He said Green Machine. Like,
did I say Green Machine?
Yeah.
No way. Did you really? That's so
I don't know.
I'll listen on the way back. I apologize if you didn't, but I'm pretty sure you did.
I may have.
Yeah, it's not gonna be Pacquiao. I'm pretty sure it's. I don't know.
Do you think those talks actually happening though? Do you think there was some tentative talk, so to speak?
I don't know. Look, Mayweather is fucking in the gym and doing sparring He had the head guard on and shit. So is he going to go and see how many pay-per-view buys I can get with Crawford? Or shall me and Floyd have another go and see how many we do? I don't know, man. Bob's talking up some pretty high numbers. He said something like 2 million. That's quite high. I don't know.
Dude, Bob's always off his rocker, though. He said last time that Crawford was going to do like millions and millions of buys. It's like,
yeah,
dude's crazy. I think that like a Pat Crawford fight's gonna be really hard to make because is Crawford gonna take less money than Pacquiao? Or is he gonna like be like, no, I'm not the B side. I'm not taking less money.
He said if he fights behind closed doors, he wants more money to make up for what he would have got in tickets. So
Bob said if that fight was to happen, it would have to be a big giant site fee in some other country. So Saudi Arabia. He doesn't say Saudi Arabia, but that's what he's saying.
Yeah. He also said the only way Fury doesn't fight in the US is for an AJ fight, and you can see it being in the UK or Saudi Arabia, or Middle East. So, although he said at the moment, can the Saudis afford it because oil's worth fuck all a barrel at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't see Pacquiao Crawford at all.
Do we agree that that's the fight that Crawford unfortunately needs, but he's just not ever going to get?
I don't know, guys. If you're Pacquiao and you're looking at Crawford, you see something in him that you can expose, and then you can beat him. Like, what does that do for your legacy? That in the post Pacquiao Mayweather era, you beat the best guy in the next era. Like that would there'd be no denying. Like you might have to rank him above Floyd Mayweather if he goes and beats Terrence Crawford at this point. Like really, like I mean, he's being the best guy of the next era. That was like when Jordan came back with the Wizards. If he can and took Kobe to school, it's like this isn't supposed to be happening, right? Like I think this fight might happen. Like I think Pacquiao thinks he can win it now, and that may make it happen.
But do you think Pacquiao really cares about legacy or like money at this point? I mean,
he's gonna get paid to fight whoever, right? We agree on that. Like so,
but. Then get paid more to fight certain people.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think he gets paid more to fight Mikey or Danny than Crawford? I don't
think those are the two names that he's really looking at.
What name? Okay.
Maybe
Mikey. I think he get paid more to fight Spence. I think, if like a return fight.
I think the reason why he's always been looking at Mikey because that's a truly easy fight against a Mexican fighter, and that's always been like a rivalry with him is fighting fighters. That's why he's been to LA Stars because he's fought all the Mexican fighters out of LA.
Well, he used to call him the Mexicutioner or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, so I could see that. But Danny, I don't see happening. Spence is going to be more money than Crawford. Mikey's probably going to be comparable money than Crawford and an easier fight. And we still have, like Rob said, the Mayweather second fight looming in the background. Bob, your smirk.
Well, which as a business decision would be huge. Think about it. Like if you're coming out of like a time where your books are definitely going to be down for every outfit, right? There's a point where Bob Arum might say, or Pacquiao might say, let me take that fight because there's going to be a shitload of money there for that fight at this point, right? Because somebody's going to want to cash in because they need to correct like their books. Like everyone's in the red right now. There's no boxing. I mean, they're not paying boxers, but I mean, you would imagine on the PBC side, they are paying boxers something because that's one of the like things that keep people there is that they say they get paid even when they don't fight, So like Al probably is taking care of those people in some way, So that fight may be what they do to kind of make up for everything they lost during this like 5 or 6 months or whatever it's going to be, 8 months before we see big fights. And people buy that'll sell $1 million, no problem.
Oh, that's $2 million easy.
I mean that's a huge ass fight.
I mean, I know Rob's like, there's never going to be another million pay-per-view buy in U.S. history or whatever. Maybe that was Gary that said that. Pacquiao Mayweather 2 or Mayweather Pacquiao 2 definitely does 2 million buys.
Absolutely, but I'm betting that doesn't happen. Or Pacquiao McGregor, which would
Those
also
guys
be
could
a
be-
million buys.
Dude, it could be 10 years from now, and they can make that fight, and it would still do over 1 million buys.
If Holyfield fought Tyson tomorrow, it would do 1 million buys.
There's still the Pacquiao holdouts that are like, there's still the Pacquiao holdouts for like 10 years down the road will be like, he won the first fight.
And not only that, they would say, and then he beat Keitman, Matisse, he beat all these young guys, and it's like, well, Matisse wasn't that great. Thurman was coming off the layoff, and he only beat Lopez coming. But digressing, I think Crawford's in a weird predicament right now where he's trying to get a big fight. The only one that seems interested is honestly Kell Brook, and that's like.
That's not a big fight. It's a fight. Again, it's like Tank versus Gamboa. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it ain't the best. It ain't a good fight either. You know what I'm saying?
Man, is it that bad?
That fight has to happen in the UK, right? Like if Crawford wants a big moment
to maximize the earning potential of that fight, probably.
Not just that, even to bring in like UK fans for him.
I mean, he's already gone over to the UK and beat up their boy.
Yeah, but not. I don't know. Like,
dude,
I'm with Gary that he hasn't looked really good at 147. Like, except for, I mean, I don't know. Every fight he's looked pretty vulnerable to me at 147.
Not Khan, but Khan doesn't count.
Well, I mean, come on, we're not counting Khan. we're not counting Khan. But yeah. So I think that might be a way. You go there, you put on a hell of a show against Brook. People still like Brook in the UK, I guess. I mean, he's not terrible, but it's really hard for Crawford. It's really hard for Crawford right now. His run at 140 doesn't mean as much as it used to everyone. His run at 147 isn't looking great. And if he doesn't really get the fights he needs and win them in pretty good fashion, I don't know what his legacy even looks like.
And his run at 135 was very limited, if we're being quite honest. I go back and look at his box record. He had very few fights at lightweight. And
it was like Mosley at lightweight. Like he was way too big to the division. He had, it was just a matter of time till he couldn't make it anymore.
The problem was that division was good. Like there was guys in that division ready for him to fight. Like Linares was a champion at that time. They didn't make that fight. That would have been a really good fight. And on top of that, 135 became really hot right after he left. 140 became really hot right after he left. Like he was unfortunately a victim of just really poor timing. Because if he was just a year later in everything, imagine the names he'd be fighting at 135 and 140 instead. The Caprops, the Comes, the Easters, the Mikeys, the Lomas, and then you have the Progresses, the Taylors, the Hookers. You have all those hookers, huh? LOL. Rob, I thought you would laugh at that one. Come on.
We can bring up fighting hookers and boxing and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyways, if Crawford was just a year and a half, 2 years off in his career or later in his career, he would be fighting some of the best competition you could see.
Yeah, I love when people get sensitive about fighters. It's like I'm the biggest Loma stan, right? But I'll tell you that at 135, he looks human and beatable, right? No problem. He's reaching his max weight. But you bring up Crawford at 147 having struggles against a one-legged fighter at one point, and in his last fight, and this one, and then it's like he stopped everyone. I want to hear Double I say the same thing about Loma. Loma has stopped everyone or dominated everyone at 135, but the narrative is that he's overrated and he has no run.
He didn't stop everyone.
It's so hilarious to me because Crawford is definitely vulnerable at 147. Definitely. He's been hurt by people that he should not be hurt by and has struggled in almost every fight. So it's so insane to me that people don't believe that he is he may be the best talent-wise, but he's undersized compared to some of the guys there. And he doesn't have the same power at 147. So he's definitely vulnerable.
Just to reiterate, Loma has struggled in every fight at lightweight, right?
Besides $1 million Crowley.
Look, except for the fight against
that's Amir Khan.
That's Amir Khan. It's those Brits.
Look, Loma has definitely had struggles in his 135 run. We've seen that. Like Pedraza had some moments to shine and things like that too. And then obviously at a point, Loma's skill and ability ultimately won the day. And like we'll see if it happens the same for Crawford. But the problem with Crawford too is he going to get those fights? We know Loma's probably going to get a TO fight. They fight in for the same promoter. Like he's going to have that moment.
But the problem, the difference is not that per se. It's like who's tied to who. Is that Loma's the top dog at 135. So therefore, if you want to be the top dog at 135, you have to go through him, right? At 147, Crawford's not the top dog there, and that's something he's not really used to. I would say he was the top dog at 140 for sure. The entire time he was there, no one else was close to him in terms of star power, name recognition. No one was close to him there. 135, when he beat up Ricky Burns and Gamboa, it was a wrap. He was the guy, so to speak. You had Linares, though, too. Like, you had other guys I would want him to face, but he was still the guy. It was clear. 147, he's never been the guy. Not once. Loma's been the guy at 135. Ever since Mikey left, because there was a conversation then, and Mikey had the better resume at 135 at the time, it became Loma's division. So that's why it's a little bit different. Like Loma has options because he is the option. Crawford's not the option at 147. That's just unfortunate.
In the highest money division as well. So those dudes that are options are the big money, right? Like minus heavyweight, it's welterweight. So you go in, and Loma is different because he represents $1 million+ payday for 135 pounders. So everyone wants that fight because they're not going to make that money, and a lot of other people, So I don't know. I think Gary's right. These people see that Crawford is beatable. They're going to want this fight more than they used to. Crawford's definitely not the boogeyman anymore. He's won every fight at 147, but he's been hurt. He's had a lot of struggles.
And quickly, because I feel like our rhetoric here is very similar to Mikey at 147, and they're not similar. So anyone listening to the show and that's a long-time listener, maybe confused by our rhetoric here, I just want to reaffirm that. Like, we might be talking down on Crawford's 147 run similar to the way we talked down on Mikey at this division, but Crawford's successful at this division. Like, Crawford can still beat all these guys still. He could beat Spence, he could beat Pacquiao, he could beat Thurman, he could beat Danny, he could beat Sean Porter. Absolutely. It's just a little more of a question mark than it was, let's say, if they're at 140, where some of those guys were at before. Mikey is a clear top 15-ish guy, and that's a very different thing than being a guy that's in the mix with the top 5, but clearly not the guy in that top 5.
And he could be the guy, right? Like, he could win all those fights. He could beat Porter and Pacquiao and Spence, but maybe not. Yes. I pick him in all those fights, but who knows?
And going into 147, that wasn't the thought process. We thought Crawford was going to clean up this division in a way, and he hasn't. And he kind of has looked a little bit human, so to speak, in this division. And that's where the disconnect is coming from his pound-for-pound ranking, the way we think about him, the way we talk about him, and how he is actually worked in the ring and what his fights that has actually looked like.
The interesting fight now, I think, is Porter, right? Because you saw how the Mean Machine or the Green Machine was able to rough him up. Like, that's Porter's bread and butter. Like, would Porter be able to impose his will and do a better job than Kalilaka, the Mean Machine, did, and win the fight that way, right? Or would we get to a point where Crawford's superior skills would just win the day for him? I don't know, but that's all of a sudden now a really interesting fight, stylistically.
I don't know what's going on. It's all crapping out. Oh no, you're all right now. There we go. Here comes Matt.
There you go.
I'm back. I'm sorry, guys.
You're all a little bit. Gary's audio spazzed out when you left.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Food.
Y'all sound fine to me. Matt was freezing up, but everything else was fine to me. What I'm seeing.
And now Foo's vaporized. I don't know where the fuck he's gone.
He had it. Foo's left. He's done. He
gone.
had his half-baked moment. He's done.
I apologize to our listeners and especially our viewers more so. Our listeners shouldn't have an issue because the podcast is going to be fine. The audio is going to be fine. My computer's been just dog shit lately. So Apple Store is closed. Can't fix it. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Anyways, digressing. Speaking of lightweight, though, because we were talking about lightweight, Teofimo Lopez is refusing to fight Lomachenko without fans. I'm gonna pitch this one to the resident Loma stan and see where he's at, where his talking points are at. Foo, thoughts on Lopez refusing the Loma fight without fans?
I mean, I think it makes sense. You're talking about what would be the largest fight for him, not just in terms of his legacy, especially so early in his career, but then you're also saying this is the biggest money that he would make. And so if you take away the ticket sales and people being in the venue, then he's going to stand to lose a lot of money unless, like you said, they boost it some other way, like via the network or whatever. And then in addition to that, he's a performer. Like, he is someone who really thrives off of the crowd and like doing the Fortnite dances and all this crazy stuff and like making his legacy by, being more interactive with the crowd than a lot of the other fighters. So for him, it may be an issue where he doesn't think he can perform the same way. Like, that he needs the crowd there to be able to win the fight or whatever the way he wants, or, it's something that drives him. Some bands play fine with, in a studio, like recording with no, crowd. But then there's bands that are only really good live and they're no good in like a recording studio. Like, you wouldn't listen to their album, but if you saw them live, you're like, they're amazing. Right. So it just depends. Like some people are different.
Does he really need a big audience to get schooled in front of? Surely he could save the shame of all those people. And B, anyway, it's a Loma fight. Is it really going to be that packed?
He's got it, right? He's got it.
It's a near sellout.
Don't take it. That's bait, Food. Don't take it.
It's a near sellout. A near sellout.
I'm having conflicting thoughts on this, right? First off, like, it's Teofimo Lopez's big moment. Get what you want, right? Like, this is your moment to become a superstar. Don't settle for anything else. Flip that around. You're not the man. Loma is. If Loma offers you to fight and the price tag is reasonable, you take it. Okay? Because it may not come around again. If someone else picks him off, right? If Haney picks him off, or someone else picks him off, you lose all that luster. You want to be the man that beats him, take the fight. I don't know. I can argue that either side.
I don't think that's going to be offered, though, to be quite honest. Like, Rob, I'm not to interrupt you, but just to quickly get my thoughts. I don't think this will ever come to where like Bob Arum and Loma are have agreed the fight's going to go down with no fans. They go to Teofimo Lopez and he says no. I don't think that scenario will ever happen. This is kind of just fighter talk to a degree.
I agree.
It's a negotiating tactic.
It's like every year I used to go in for my year-end review, right? At the end of the year, or actually the beginning of the year, you go in, and I used to demand 100% raise, like double my salary. I wasn't expecting to get it, but like, what do you want? Okay, I want 100% pay raise. Now we can start talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to set the bar here. Hopefully you meet me somewhere in the middle, which is where I was hoping to be. I think it's kind of like that, right? He's making demands and seeing what they'll meet.
This is just the same as Canelo Saunders. It was going to be announced, but it hasn't even been signed yet. This fight isn't even made, but it was supposedly May 30th, but it hasn't even been done yet. So, and it's not going to happen this year either, I don't think.
But that's the good thing about this is that, like, you can't hold him against him for not having the fight, because you can't make the fight. Like Devin Haney says he's ready to fight again. He's probably not. He just didn't want to lose his belt, so he said he was, right? You can't make him fight anyway because of the pandemic.
You're probably right. Haney could be still fucked up from that surgery. You're like, no, I'm totally fine, guys. I'm good to go. Give me my back.
Been posting old footage saying, "Hey, look, the shoulders back,
dude." I'm just saying that'd be so smart. That'd be hilarious. I would do that. I think we're going to see this fight whenever we see boxing back true normalcy, and we're not going to see true normalcy till people are back in attendance fully, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. I can see Loma and Lopez taking tune-ups in the meantime with no fans. Like I don't think that should be too difficult to a degree if everyone's being at least tested and screened and everything like that. Like they're doing the proper safety protocols and people are quarantined pre and post the fight. Yeah, I'm all in favor of these no fan shows if there are actual safety precautions that are adhered to by this promotion.
What about a fight island, Matt?
Did you hear that the stage is actually going to be on the beach? But then again, Bodog Fights did that like a decade ago. Do you remember Bodog Fights?
I remember the name. I don't remember. I remember the name. Why do I know the name?
Dude, I want to say a boxing guy was involved. I forget who was involved. Go click Bodog Fights. Type in B-O dog, one word, Bodog Fights on YouTube. It is fucking wild, man. It's an MMA show in a boxing ring on the beach in, I think, like an island off of Costa Rica.
Nice.
I don't remember why exactly I did that. Probably for tax reasons, but digressing.
Don King, gotta be.
It wasn't Don King. It was someone else. Fuck.
Very quick, as we were on Bob Arum and saying he's on the good stuff. I don't know if people heard it, but Coppinger and Pugmire were asking him like about his habits and like being on the gummies and the smoking. He's like, yeah, I more smoked back in the day, but now it's the gummies and blah blah blah. But he said back in the day, a journalist called him like later for an interview, and he said, "Can we do this tomorrow? Because I'm completely stoned out of my mind right now." And then the journalist done a, not naming who, but guess which promoter was completely stoned out of his head and couldn't do an interview. And apparently the article, whichever website, well, not website, probably back then, like newspaper or magazine, got a call from Don King because he assumed it was about him. It was actually about Bob Arum, but he thought this guy had written about him. But crazy old school stories from Bob Arum. I could listen to him talk about the old days. Always, but just when he talks now about current stuff, it just okay, Bob.
Back when Name Redacted, we used to just cold call him all the time. He was always very interesting just to talk to, and probably high most of the time too. It seems like that seems quite obvious nowadays. Guys, that's gonna be it for today's show because it's gonna be a quick one. I know Fu has to run; he has a heart out, so we're gonna get out of here. He has a heart out.
Oh, all right.
That's a term. Rob, you worked in the music business in some fashion. I've seen pictures of you on a stage playing instruments.
Doesn't matter.
Did you have a heart out?
I woke up with one.
Even at your age, good for you.
Even at your age, man. TRT treatments are helping out.
It's one of the side effects of a Dettol injection.
I don't even think we know what that is here. Is that like a UK thing? Dettol?
It's like detergent. Domestos, Dettol, disinfectant. That's all. All right, Lysol.
The Lysol.
Anyway, the lino with that?
MCR. Oh
my God. Sorry, brother.
You have to go to like something with your in-laws, okay? Which, by the way, great social distancing there that you're practicing.
We're opened up, man. We're here in Texas. Freedom, baby. Let's go.
He's secretly a carrier. He's just trying to bump off the in-laws.
Do you want to put people in cages? Okay? Liberty. Okay, come on. Anyways, find me Mounter, MCR, social media platforms. Hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff. Should be back either tomorrow or the day after. Probably tomorrow, because we have a lot more topics to discuss, I think. And plus, my kid's back as baby moms this week, so I am completely free and bored out of my mind. So Gary, morning show tomorrow, most likely 11 a.m. my time. Be there, be square. But anyways, guys, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Anything else? Oh, I need to download and edit and post the new Nothing New episode with Anthony Walker, breaking down the Teddy Riley and Babyface battle and some new music that came out. And we bullshitted for another hour, I feel like, about other stuff. And what else? That's about it for me. Gary.
Find me in all forms of social media, 3D Boxing blog. I got a fight to go watch now, a fight card to go watch. I can't believe you sent the link. I am so furious now. You don't even understand. From Texas to the world, thank you. God bless.
Rob.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up, share the show, all that good stuff. I think UK boxing, I think it looks like we're maybe going to be the second half of June, maybe early July. None of the big names. I don't think we'll see the Joshua Pulev fight too quickly, or Dillian White, maybe August, something like that. But I think we'll get some behind closed doors stuff end of June. But yeah, if people are looking around what they can watch, Netflix and all that, please check out Afterlife 2 by Ricky Gervais. Absolutely incredible piece of work. I absolutely love it. 1 minute you're laughing, the next you're like, I'm not crying, you're crying, kind of thing. It's really, really good. I recommend anyone go and watch that. I've seen all the episodes already on the night it came out, but yeah, really good stuff. So if you're struggling for things to watch during the quarantine, then Afterlife 2, Netflix, go check it out.
True.
Matt, you're like lagging. Okay. So Foogatti MCR, all platforms. From Texas to the world. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Matt's like mute.
That's your sign out.
I'm just picking on Gary.
That's no comment. No.
I don't know how that was an insult on me. What is it? Whatever.
Anyway, I don't know either.
Well, impersonation is the highest form of flattery. Is that like?
Anyways,
all right.
What's the one? Yeah.
Let me try a different one. Stay classy, San Diego.
Damn bastards.